Welcome in, folks, as we get set for the Mayor's Cup. Malone and Walsh going at it tonight. Billy Beebe with you, getting you set pregame. Joining me now, Coach Casey Kaufman. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Good to be with you, Billy. Thanks for having me.
Talking a little bit about Saturday's game. That was a big matchup. We were all kind of talking about it beforehand. Didn't go your guys' way. Break down the away game at Hillsdale.
Yeah, they're really good. They graduated a really good player for them last year with Cartier, but they still brought back a lot of guys, and they have a lot of guys that sit on their bench that are very capable every year, but they just kind of have to wait their turn. And I think they've had some guys who have stepped up into bigger roles and have done a nice job, but they gave us some problems in the first half. I thought we defended pretty well in the first half, but it had just some miscues with baseline drives and simple stuff that we can't afford to give up. And second half, Bo and Justin did a nice job of responding after halftime, but second half just came down to we didn't get enough stops. But good team, and we're going to have a lot of good teams coming our way. So I think it's a good example of what's to come. We're going to have to really be playing well in order to win games in the league.
Yeah, I know you and I have talked before about sometimes a loss. It's not the result you want, but there are things you can take away from it, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it obviously just it carries a different level of focus sometimes when you lose, because that's the reason you lost, as opposed to getting away with it sometimes and winning. But I think overall we played a decent game last Saturday. There's some miscues that we gotta be better with, but Hillsdale won. It wasn't a case where we just didn't show up or something like that.
How do you feel about where your team sits right now?
Well, I really enjoy coaching our team. We've had a lot of guys similar to what I talked about with Hillsdale that have stepped into some really fresh roles, and I think we've had some good humility in this group. Our best players are guys that we can coach really hard, and whenever you have that, you just feel decent about your team going forward. I don't know about where we end up or anything like that, but I know I enjoy coaching our guys every day, and it's a good group to win with. But it's also a team that you really hurt when you lose just because of how hard the guys play. So when you have that type of a group, I think we can trust what we have going forward. I don't know how it ends up, but I enjoy coaching them every day, and I think we'll be able to get through tough times because of that.
Coach, I know you want to stick to talking about the team, and we can get back to it here in a second, but I want to go back to the beginning of the season. I asked you, who's a guy that would make a difference that we may not know his name yet or might not expect his name? Caleb Conard, we've seen more and more of him. How do you feel he's done this season, especially after you mentioned him preseason?
I think Caleb's had a really good year. He's been exactly what you need from a bench guy. Gives you something different than what we have in our starting lineup, the way he can go to the glass. He's a guy that I think his best basketball is obviously still in front of him. We think there's a lot of things he's going to tap into skill-wise that he might not even get to this year, but he's had a really good year. Defensively, he's a little more versatile than some other guys. He moves well on the perimeter and can switch some stuff, but he's had a really good year. But it's been a game-to-game thing like it is with some bench guys, especially at this point of the season, dictated by matchups and foul trouble and some things like that. Some nights he's going to be really, really important. Sometimes his role might be a little bit smaller, but Caleb's had a really good year for us.
Let's talk about a guy with a bigger role, a guy we did expect to have a big season, and I certainly think he has, Justin Miller. He's hit his scoring career high 3 times this year, Coach. What's he doing so well out there?
He scores a lot of different ways. He shoots it well, so you got to pick him up. He can play out of ball screens, get downhill, and he's really good in the post. That's something that's unique about a 6'2" guy. He can score against bigger guys in the post, and he passes it well enough that he's a difficult guy to double. But I think the best thing about Justin is how he contributes to winning beyond scoring. I mentioned that he's a good passer, but he makes gritty plays. He's a guy who leads us in charges. He rebounds out of his area. And I think that has just like a contagiousness to it. It makes other guys better. When your best player does those things, other guys want to follow suit. And when he's able to get on people, which I think that Justin and Levi are both been good leaders this year, and they challenge guys pretty regularly. Guys listen. So I think there's a lot of things Justin does well that everybody can see, and the scoring is a big part of that. But there's a lot of other stuff he does really well for us too. And as a coach, that's what you appreciate.
All right, Coach, let's mix it up a little bit. The lob from Terrence to Aaron Beebe a couple games ago, I know that was kind of a fun play for both the bench and the highlights and all that. Is that something you guys drew up, something you practiced, or just something fun to watch?
Not at all, Billy. It was a transition play, and I've never seen that in practice. And Terrence just made a play with instincts. He saw him come from behind him and threw it over his shoulder. Aaron's a good athlete, and he finished the play.
Well, hopefully we'll see it again. Next thing, I want to get your opinion on this. So I asked all the guys, just ran down a list of what they would get somebody for Secret Santa. I finished with asking them about you. Any of these gifts interest you? You received a whiteboard with new markers, a brand new basketball, and a Roku stick. What do you think about that?
I thought the Roku stick was probably the most original. That was Elijah. We talked about it later. Bo mentioned that he was going to say energy drinks. But the other stuff, I guess I would say of the three that I heard, Elijah's was the most original.
Yeah, I like it. And
so I'll take Elijah's gift.
We'll have to get you a Red Bull next year. How about that?
I'm usually on Celsius. That's what I drink.
Okay.
I'll drink a Red Bull from you, Billy.
Love it. I love it. All right, Coach, 2 more questions here to wrap things up. First one, you got Walsh tonight. Big matchup. We know that the crowd will be there. Everybody's excited for it. Does it help coming into a game like this knowing you beat Walsh earlier this year?
I mean, it's a different game than it was before. They're playing well. We try to make it as normal as possible because I think there's a lot of craziness, a lot of distractions outside of the game itself, and so we just try to make it about the game, not about everything else. But they're good. You know, both teams know each other, so it should be a good game. I don't know that winning earlier helps with this game. I think it's a different game. It's a new game.
What's the process to make sure you guys finish strong and head for tournament play?
Every game from here on out, we're going to play opponents that are capable of beating us. But if you look at our January and February, I think our conference is better than some of the non-league teams that we play. That's just because the GMAC's a good league. But there's a lot of teams we haven't gotten to that are really good. So I think that's some of it. You know, it's not as simple as just, you know, being physically better than teams and it being a focus thing. You're going to have to be super focused on what we're doing and play well. So I don't think I think that's something that has something to do with it, even dating back to last year. This group's done a really good job of, you know, playing above themselves already. We're not trying to put some pressure on it that I don't think is needed right now. If I felt like we weren't bringing it every day in practice, then there might be some things that you'd mentioned, but that's really not the case right now.
Makes sense. Coach, thanks for the time. We're wishing you luck tonight and the rest of the season.
Billy, I appreciate it. Thank you.